Hey everybody, and welcome back to the Crypto Night Show. Your host Superman in the house for another day of Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Pulsechain. Hope you guys enjoy it. We got some pretty amazing news from Strive, one of the number 7 maybe digital asset treasury now in the world, and their SATA preferred stock is just blowing minds with its capital raise from the debt markets and buying Bitcoin. We're going to get into some of the numbers today. Really is insane, and buying up all the Bitcoin there, 13% yield, game changer. Building on the back of course, Strategy's stretch product. They operate the alternative 2 weeks, so they're kind of alternating together. And boy, but they're ramping up. They are ramping up. It's just pretty insane. Is there enough Bitcoin left, guys? Is there enough Bitcoin left? We're going to talk about that. And of course, the target price I got on the title of the video, 200K. People have within the 12 months, 250K, but 200K. We're going to talk about that coming up later. So yeah, it's exciting. So we've got big targets, but we've got big accumulation, and that's the key, right? Accumulation is backing up those targets. Even though we're a little bit in the down at the moment, we're not down that much. We had a little bit of a peppy pop last night with the old Bitcoin, and we're getting some pretty exciting things happening here. So it's going to be cool. We're going to get into, obviously, briefly touch Ethereum. Then we're going to get into Pulsechain. We've got a lot to talk about with Pulsechain. We're going to look at price discovery with the Pulse price still on the battlefield, trying to find the bottom of Pulse around that 7,000 mark, oscillating there. And then we're going to get into a lot of yield. So we're going to be covering Emmett Farm today, True Farm yield. So the two farms, they're offering high APRs. Then we're going to get into, of course, the new DEX on the street, the V4 Switch X. We're going to be covering that again and have a looking at those numbers as it grows. So it's in a growth phase since launch. And we're also going to be looking at the beginning of Liberty Swap's yield product, and of course the first stage of that is the Liberty pools. So we're going to have a briefly look at that as well. So I hope you guys enjoy the content. If you're new, don't forget to subscribe, and of course smash the follow. If you're on X, don't forget to hit the repost on X. That's easy to do and it helps a lot there. Pump your own bags, all that good stuff. So without further ado, let's kick into the gear and see how the markets are gone, because I think that's going to be a lot of fun. That's going to be fun. I just realized that I've got to bring the stock market up, and I haven't done that either. So let me do that. It's Saturday here down under, of course. Still Friday in the Northern Hemisphere. So we're going to talk about the stock market to kick it off first. Let me cue that up. Q 1, 2, 3. So about it. Yeah, don't forget to get in the comments section as well. We like a lively chat, and I think we've got a few names in there before we go. DG and Hexkin's in the house there. Superman 5555, absolutely. And we got good morning, DG and Hexkin. Big shout out there. Flow State says DG and Hexkin. Flow State indeed. All right, so let's kick into the stock market. Winning, hashtag winning. So let's get into it. Looking good. All right, we've got the record winning 9-week win streak. 9-week win streak. Of course, we just had gone through Q1 results, remember, and they were pretty dang good. $10 above expectation on average, I think, for the S&P 500. Estimating if you multiply that by 4 quarters of this year, that's a $40 beat, which means that we could go much higher by the end of the year. So in solid May at record levels, I guess, for weekday trading. And then we've got the Dow Jones then at up just under 0.75%, 363 points to 51,000, guys, 51,032. Let's look at the chart here over the last year, and you can see we're at record highs. And if we look at max chart, we're over all the time, all the way back since was it 1970, which is basically my whole life on this chart here. We've got new records. Isn't that crazy? Let's look at the S&P 500. We're going to go to year on the chart there as well. You can see we're all-time highs at up 0.1%, 16 points to 7,580, which is pretty amazing. Tom Lee had a mark of 7,300. His end of the year mark, I think, is 77. But we've got numbers over 8,000, 8,250. So we'll keep a lookout for that. But all-time highs, max chart, all-time highs. Beautiful, guys, beautiful. 1/5% up on the NASDAQ, 55 points to 26,972. And that's all-time highs as well. Look at that. I mean, we're in record territories on the stock market. And we've got to have some rotation coming to crypto soon from that for sure. The other thing, of course, is we've got the manufacturing indexes expanding, the U.S. economy expanding. And we've got potentially some interesting stuff happening with the monetary policy. So we're kind of in the good stead there for the crypto markets. US dollar is down at 98, not 85, so just down slightly there. And the VIX there down at 15.3. So it's absolute risk on, guys. You can see in the chart over the last year, we're right, absolutely risk on. And of course, during the initial phase of the Iranian conflict, we were up over 30, right? So it is a pretty exciting time. So not bad there. What do we got at the moment? So stocks have rallied when there are hopeful reports about a peace process, or at least hopes of reopening the Strait of Hormuz, but don't really pull back when those fail to materialize. There are a number of examples. Lost count of how many hopeful rallies have occurred over the past 2 months, despite essentially no progress in the peace process. So that is in the play right now. So Trump apparently is obviously determining whether they're going to get this deal done. That is on the table. Trump said that. What is Trump saying? So market participants were keen watching for any announcements on a confirmed peace deal between Washington and Tehran after Trump said he would be attending a meeting in the Situation Room to make a final determination on Iran. The president was referring to the White House dedicated crisis management center. Trump said a deal would include Tehran agreeing that they will never have a nuclear weapon or bomb, an immediate reopening of the Strait of Hormuz with no tolls, and of course the removal of all mines in the waterway, after which the U.S. naval blockade of Iran's ports and coastlines would be lifted. Ships caught in the strait due to amazing and unprecedented naval blockade, which will now be lifted, may start the process of heading home. Interesting enough, the president hosted on Truth Social. He added that the US would help Iran in digging up its enriched uranium, or what he called nuclear dust, and destroy it. No money will be exchanged until further notice. Other items of far less importance have been agreed to. I'll be in a meeting now in a Situation Room to make a final determination, Trump said. However, Iran's Fars news agency, which is always, thumping their chest, said Trump's comments were a mixture of truth and lies, as usual, and fighting informed sources. Well, everyone believes a terrorist agency, don't they? Fars said there was no such clause that Iran had to open the Strait of Hormuz without charging tolls. The agency also added that there was no mention of Iran giving up its nuclear material. So if that propaganda is true, then no deal would be done, right? And so Iran would be in economic chaos because they're at that point right now. Iran state media said no negotiations had taken place. So the usual gaffe from the fast news there. Right, so that's pretty much it on the key major stuff. Let's jump over to the crypto and see how crypto's getting on. And we've got Sean in the house. Hey, Sean, up only indeed, mate. Welcome to the chat there. And welcome everybody else. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe. If you haven't followed, follow. And if you're on X, repost. That really helps a lot there. In fact, have I actually pinned the show? I think I have. Yeah, pinned the show there. So just hit the repost button right there and get that out and about. That'd be great. All right, so let's get into the total market cap of crypto based on CoinGecko. Well, we're up 0.5% today, so I'm glad to say we were up and away. So we're sitting at $2.56 trillion, so we're super small. Remember, we got big numbers being targeted. People talking about 100 trillion. Raoul Paul, $100 trillion market cap for crypto. Michael Saylor from Strategy, $100 trillion market cap. Very excited about that. And of course, the key drivers, harvesting the debt markets and also bringing over finance to crypto. Those are the two major things to make that happen. All right, so let's have a look at Bitcoin right now. Bitcoin is up 0.2% today. So it did have a little bit of a pop overnight. Most of that's in the last hour, but it has been up and down. $73,547, still down 2.3% for the week. So really waiting for that rotation like the stock market for crypto to have its day in the sun. Ethereum there up 0.7% at $2,017. Nice to see it back over 2,000 again. That is cool. And number 4 is still down 2.2% for the week, though. Number 4 is BNB, up 1.7%, down 0.6% for the week, sitting at just below $647. Number 5, XRP, up 4% for the night, 2.2% for the week. So that's all overnight. That rebound there, $1.36. Solana at number 7, up 0.8%, down 2% for the week at $82.67. Tron at number 8 is down 2.1%. Had been a good performer, remember, along with BNB, but is down 4.9% for the week at 34.4 cents. Finally, we got Dogecoin there at number 10, is up 1.3%, down 0.36% for the week at 10 cents. So holding that 10-cent line, waiting for X Money. Where's X Money, the public version? All right, so that's kind of the play there. Let's look at the top 100. Top 100 at the moment over the last night has been Stellar XLM, up 34%, pretty handsome. Hedera or HBAR, up 20%. Number 2, Helagrand Algo, there's up 17%. Injective, up 16%. And Monero, to wrap it up, top 5, is up 15.4%. Top 100s, top 5 and the top 100 over the last week. We've got Rain up 97%, sitting at number 15, interesting enough, at 1.4 cents. Stellar up 85% for the week. Really nice move there. Dexy up 34%. Injective, INJ up 24.6%. And then finally, Artificial Superintelligence up 23.8%. So, we're seeing a lot of these common names pumping a lot. So, that's a good targets for you to consider for your portfolio. All right, top gainers in top 1,000. We've got Alora up 72%, Lab up 56%, and Monji up 40%. So there's some interesting ones there. The top 1,000. Trending overall on CoinGecko is a Bonk, Stellar, and Pudgy Penguin. So a couple of meme coins there are trending at the moment. So it's a bit early for meme coins to really pump. What do you guys reckon? Well, apparently they pump too. So there we go. That is the overall market cap. Let's just zoom into the Bitcoin. Bitcoin price here on Coinbase, 73,517. Let's go to the hourly chart though. I just want to show you that little rebound thing overnight. You can see we were down here. We got all the way down to 72,381. And then this is on the hourly candles. And then we popped, went all the way to 74,200. I thought it was never going to stop. Anyway, it did. It came back down again, usual manipulations. And there we are. But we're back up. We're back up at 73,500. So not too bad. Let's go to the 4-hour, which is kind of the trading view, right? 4-hour with the 15 moving average is at 75,300. So it's going to be pretty key to get over that. That's kind of, a next natural target is 75,300 on the 4-hourly. And let's go to the daily once more, where we started. And we can see the 50-day is at 76,270. So we've got two natural targets there, that 4-hour 50 moving average, and then the 50 moving average, which happens to be the 200 4-hour moving average as well, 76,000 or so. So that's kind of cool. That's where we are. So let's see how we get on. Zooming out a bit further, we obviously want to push high here. We push back into this bottom zone with 60K back here on the 6th of February. So obviously we've got a bit of work to do. And the current 200 moving average, which is kind of the key line, is 81,121. Now we're going to go all the way to the monthly chart, and just so you can sort of see the overview. That's the monthly chart. We are above the monthly 50 moving average. That is currently at 66,000. So we're well ahead of that. And a nice little bounce off that, right? Nice little bounce off that in February with the low of 60K and up and away. It looks pretty good, doesn't it? So that's what I'm saying. We've got a lot of these digital asset treasuries. A lot of the top 10 to 15 are all buying Bitcoin, all either using debt or equity products to do it. So you got to feel pretty bullish. And we've got the Clarity Act coming in June, and then processing in June, hopefully done by the 4th of July, fingers crossed. And also we've got potentially the White House around Bitcoin strategy for that as well, based on budget neutral policies. So we'll keep a lookout for that, and all hell break loose, right, around those things. So stay tuned for that. So yeah, I think looking pretty good. Let's look at some of the fundamentals pushing the price. Well, I've got the price here. Let me just say again before we move on here, the price at 200K, right? So 200. Let me see if I can find one that says 200 here. 200K. That was the target that I had, and that's based on the power law, right? So we're going to get to that. That's up here. So just hitting that. So we're just being modest with our target based on the power law, right, which has been a very reliable model, and that is a 170% gain, and that would be in sort of 7 months. So that's kind of what we're looking at to the upside. And how do we get there? Well, obviously, digital asset treasuries are driving that forward, as we say, but we might get the government coming in too, and that's just insane. And depending on how that is set up, that would flood capital too. All right, so let's zoom in on some of the fundamentals. Well, obviously, we got Strive with their preferred stock called SATA. This provides a 13% dividend yield. They just obliterated their previous record, guys, raising enough capital to buy an estimated 2,624 Bitcoin in a single week. That's this week. That would be 16% of their reported stack. So off a relatively modest base, they're sitting at number 7 already. I think they're sitting on 16,000 Bitcoin. So now they're about to add another 3,000 plus, because this doesn't include last week as well, in a single week. That would be 16% of the reported stack, the equivalence of Strategy buying 134,000 Bitcoin in a week. So that gives you some comparison. And there is this week's Bitcoin buy. Obviously, Monday was Memorial Day, but gives you an idea. 400 on Tuesday, 500 on Wednesday, 570 on Thursday, and a whopping 1,100, maybe 1,200 on yesterday, which is the final day before dividend, right? And this is the last monthly dividend that got qualified for. So next month, from the 15th, I think it is, of June, they're moving to essentially their daily product, right, which is revolutionary in itself. So it means they're going to more often, bigger frequency of raising capital every day. See what I'm saying? Take off time, June, man, June, July, because we've got Strategy also with their stretch product, got their bi-monthly vote going through too. So, by the time we get to July, it's all on. It's game on. It's game on for the second half of the year, for the old Bitcoin digital asset treasuries. And there's other players doing a lot of stuff like MetaPlanet, and Trump Foundation. There's heaps of them. They're all on the move there. The Bitcoin treasury, I mean, they got, looking like they're going to buy tons too. So it's this game on. Very, very cool. All right, so last day to buy SATA and become a record holder of our final monthly dividends is Strive. Strive is the parent company, so Strive's common stock that receives all the Bitcoin is called ASSIST, so ASST. That's the one that you'd buy on the market if you wanted to get the growth story with the Bitcoin. But the debt product is called SATA. That's the one that's offering 13% yield, raises money off the market and through issuing new stock, and therefore buys the Bitcoin, and that goes into the ASST common stock ticker. So that's kind of the same sort of setup. It is not exactly the same risk return as Strategy with their products. There are a few differences, so you have to look at those. But apart from that, it is pretty crazy. Now, SATA is also offering 13% compared to what is 11.5% for Stretch. That's Michael Saylor's Strategy is offering. There's a bit of difference there, but there is some important feature differences as well. All right, so 13% there. Final record date, the 1st of June. So kicking in there. Of course, we're on a weekend now. First daily dividend record is the June the 15th. So it's moving from monthly payments, which is on the alternative cycle, to Michael Saylor's Strategy. So that's why we've been covering it every 2 weeks. So we're swapping over. But this has started to ramp up like unbelievable. This is just unbelievable ramp up. They're moving the daily. It's going to be insane, guys. June the 15th. Imagine they're sitting with the old assist in your bank, in your portfolio, and maybe it's at your brokers. You can actually get this on Ondo now, and possibly a couple other decentralized tokenized stock sites. There's another one comes to mind, just forgotten it, and of course XStocks possibly with Nasdaq. But it's you just have the US dollars coming into your US dollar account all the time. It'll be pretty neat. So that's the idea. It's a game changer, guys. Game changer. Move over the banks, right? Move over the banks. So that's coming up there. Big deal. Big deal. So great retirement option for people. If you're happy with your Bitcoin collateral, then pretty exciting there. All right, so good stuff. So let's look at that's some of the key drivers that are pushing us up, right? And we're going to move into Strategies cycle soon, right? Probably in maybe another week, we'll start printing from the debt markets for Stretch, and that would be pretty exciting. That'll be the last monthly dividend. So at the moment, let's look at the forward-looking price. So I've got 200K. Where do we get that? Well, we're following the power law, so we're trying to be modest here. We've got people talking about the next 12 months, 250K, but let's just look at where we could be in 7 months' time, where we are at the moment. So we're sitting above the red line, which is our support line, and let me just get the right month here. Let's go to the 4th of June, shall we? So, Bitcoin at 73,500 now. The midpoint, the green line, is 165,000. The purple line, which is the resistance line, $580,000 Bitcoin, and the support line there, 58,500. Well, we've already been to 60K, right? So, got to feel pretty good where we are. And as I said, June has got not only the regulatory stuff going through the Clarity Act, potentially the Bitcoin strategy from the White House, potentially more digital strategy stuff, but also the digital asset treasuries ramping up their frequency payments, and therefore should ramp up the amount of debt raised and more often, right? So that's where we're heading there, and that buys Bitcoin. Buying tens of thousands of Bitcoin, guys. We're not talking about a little amount of Bitcoin. We're talking about tens of thousands of Bitcoin. And remember, the mine is only mining about 13,000 a month, so it's pretty huge. Already this year's strategy has already bought twice the amount of new mining supplies. So that's how what the capacity is pretty insane. So if we go all the way down to the end of the year, then we're moving up to 4th of January 27. So the end of the year, 200K is the green line. So that's where we get the 200K from with the power law holding up pretty well, modeling Bitcoin. And the top of the line, the purple there, is 685. So we could go higher than 200, but 200 is the midpoint there, and I feel very safe about that given this prediction and the good market fit with the power law, right? And then we got the bottom price at 71,000. So the red line, support line, 71,000, which gives you a lot of confidence that will at least be pretty close to where we are now, 73,500, or up towards that 200K. So pretty exciting. So the second half looking very, very positive. Now, it doesn't mean that we don't have some volatile issues, obviously, around interest rates, around the oil price, obviously, continue to come off, the delayed impact of inflation. So we've got a few of those things in play around monetary policy, and, of course, the new chair. And we've got the midterms in November. But I think that's kind of looking positive at the moment. It's going to be ups and downs a little bit. We've got that in play. And other than that, everything is heading in the right direction, right? All the fundamentals. Game on there. All right, so that's kind of the play. Now, if we just push this a bit further into June next year, just to do that 12-month review, well, Tom Lee's got 250, while Power Law says 234. So that's not too bad. That's pretty much on the money. So even Permabill Tom Lee's not out of the ballpark there. We're looking good. The other big thing, of course, is that typically in these cycles, we've had these mid bear market runs, right, with these middle runs. And we've kind of, I think, in my view, we kind of had that at the 126K mark when we got the Bitcoin. But we haven't had this banana part, right, the Raoul Paul banana part, these big rallies for the bull market. And I think that's ahead of us in the next 18 to 24 months, right? So I think we're going to start heading towards that purple line, guys. Imagine if we got anywhere near that in this time frame, that would push us up. If we go out 2 years, let's go to June 28. That we've already got at that purple line $1 million on there already. So that's probably the earliest time we might hit $1 million is June 2028. But of course, some people have it 2030, 2031. Some people a bit further down the track. But certainly, based on the power law there, we could, if we get the banana part of the bull market, then that's kind of when we're looking at it at 2028. And of course, we would need obviously the continued mass ramp up adoption, which we're looking at the debt markets, and of course the finance and sovereign states as well, in particular the US. So. And that's all during the Trump age, right? The golden age of America. So that's when, there's a good chance that may very well happen there. And of course, with supportive monetary policy as well, and, prudent fiscal policy. Game on. So that's kind of exciting. That is the longer view. And that leads us on into Ethereum. Ethereum at the moment obviously had a bit of an up and down overnight as well. If we go back to the hour, I'm not going to do all the charts like I did for Bitcoin. But the hourly there, we had the up and the down, and now we're back up. So we're to the upside, which is cool cool to see the bias to the upside there. So hopefully we'll get punched to the upside. We have got kind of slightly a lot higher lows and higher highs, so may that continue to the upside. Let's go to the daily cut chart here. Well, the daily at the moment is sitting at 2185 for the 50-day. So obviously we're going to get back over that. We already got pushed back into essentially around the middle of the bottom zone. And so this is hopefully the bottom was 1970, and we're on the way up again. I'm feeling confident about that myself. Now, obviously, Ethereum has a different story from the debt markets at the moment, and it's really about bringing finance and mass adoption over. And of course, Tom Lee probably being the pivotal person there, bringing all the finance over. They're doing a lot of strategic work. He's already mentioned that many times to make this happen, as well as mass adoption through Mr. Beast Industries, right? So that is the game plan. That takes longer than obviously when you're doing debt market products like the Bitcoin asset treasuries. That's basically instant in the monthly cycle, right? So you basically just the function of that. If it's a popular product, it gets money straight away. Whereas the finance stuff takes time to put together and ramp up. But typically, one could reasonably expect the foundation for that to be laid within 12 months. And so we're in that process at the moment. So the second half of this year could be very juicy as we start seeing the fruits of some of that work, including, obviously, we're seeing the fundamental themes play out, stablecoins ramping up, tokenization is really starting to ramp up, right? So we've got a number of platforms now doing tokenized stocks and financial products, and that's only the beginning. They're ramping up. Remember, there's 5,700 products, companies that can be on like Ondo, and I don't know what they got at the moment, maybe 100 or something. So there's still a long way to go with that. Saturn also, I think, is doing tokenized stocks. Nasdaq, of course, with X stocks doing that. So DeFi is changing pretty quickly, guys. And of course, we've got a lot of other specialty things with AI growing rapidly, and creative payments, is including specialty products like perpetuals and prediction markets, things like that. So it is an exciting place to be. All right, so that is where we are right now with the old Ethereum. So a nice pickup zone in my point of view. And, anything time you're underneath that 50-day moving average, it's got to be good. Now, let's quickly go to the monthly, just like we did for Bitcoin. You can see we've been suppressed for 5 years, accumulating zone. So when we go, guys, it is going to be glorious, right? So if we get to 250K by June next year, and maybe we might hit it this year. We could hit it this year. It's not out of the ballpark, right? We had that top of the resistance was 600. So it's not out of the ballpark. We're just trying to be, pragmatic with the power law there. And so, if we get to 250 within 12 months, then if we get back to the last 5-year average for Ethereum, you're starting to look at, $12,000, right? So once we blow past this 5K, it's gone. It's going to happen fast, guys. And it's going to be gone. So think of some of these green candles in here on the monthlies. We're going to get some of those, right? Bam, bam, bam. And up to 12K. If we get up to, kind of all-time highs, 9% based on 2021 relative to Bitcoin, then, you're talking about upwards of 22,000 in this time frame. So in the 12-month time frame. Further afield, if Ethereum is re-ranked as a network payment rail, then you're talking about a couple years down the track, maybe within 3 years of a $60,000, $60,000 ETH. So that could be 3 years, as early as 3 years, maybe in that time zone, maybe up to 5 years for that, but $60,000 ETH. So you can kind of see how things quickly turn around. So just be careful. Always think about what the future value of your crypto is, not just what it is today, right? Because we're on a fundamental move from traditional markets to blockchain markets now. And you just got to follow, be patient with that play out. So there we are right now. So we're just below the monthly. The monthly at the moment, 2,467. So anytime you're buying below the monthly here on the last 5 years or so, then you have 4 or 5 years you have been benefiting. It's been over the top most of the time. So we're in a good zone to accumulate Ethereum right now at $2,000 ETH. So that's kind of the argument there. Once we get to 5K, it's game on. We break that explosive growth to the upside. Potentially 12 to 20 grand in the next 12 months, assuming we get that Bitcoin run to 250 by June next year, or 200 by the end of this year, 7 months time. So that's kind of the thesis there. That is pretty cool. And we know that Tom Lee is working pretty hard to bring finance over. That is including all the institutions as well as mass adoption through Mr. Beast Industries, including AI and digital ID, which obviously we're not fans of, but that's all in play too with WorldCoin and other things. So keep a lookout for that. What else are we going to say? Obviously, we've got a lot of other companies already launching cool things on Ethereum, like Ondo, Saturn's doing Saturn, others are doing lots of stuff there. So there's lots of cool things happening. Let's jump over to the Pulsechain prices. Obviously, Pulsechain is a full system state copy of Ethereum based on the 10th of May 2023, launched a couple of days later on the 13th of May 2023, and now we're 1,113 days later. And Pulsechain at the moment, let's see where that is at the moment. Well, Pulsechain is sitting at 5069.47, and we're down a 30% at the moment. So the battle around 7,000 continues, but the last couple of days have been very, very scary. But we've managed to hold on. That's all I can say. Hex on Pulsechain, P-Hex is at 11/100th of a penny, down 1.2%. ProveX at the moment at quadruple 045, down 1/4%. But we do have some green candles, I'm happy to say. Pulsex is at what's 405 something. That is slightly green. And then Inc at the moment up 1.6% at 32 cents. So we've got a little bit of green stuff there going on at the moment. Going to the validators, let's see how validators are going. We've got 49,241. So it looks like we lost about, 760, maybe about 780 validators. So I'm not sure whose those are, but we've lost about 780. There's another large holder that's going to sell them down. We've seen at least two of those, I think, in the last few months. So we'll see what happens there. Maybe someone's commented on that. I don't know. Gas prices. 730,000 beats, so not as high as yesterday. I think we were at 3 million, weren't we? And the rest of the week we'd been at 500, so we're at 730 at the moment. 110 pulse per swap. US price sitting at 0.0076 per swap at the moment on Pulsex. Bridge values. This is a key one, a key indicator for, I guess, a health indicator for Pulsechain. We have been obviously down since probably about the 25th of April. So over the last 5-6 weeks, we've gone from 58 million, which you can see in the chart there, a little bump there, all the way down to 50.9. We're slightly off the bottom. I think we were at 50.3, weren't we? But we are down 1.9% for the week and 6.8% for the last 30 days. So, we've got a little bit of advertising, promotion, and capital to bring over. So a little bit more work to do there as Pulsechain looks to find the bottom, right? So let's jump to Pulsechain. Have a look at the full chart here. This is the weekly chart on Pulsechain. Pulse gains. And am I on the right peer? I don't even know if I'm on the right peer, am I? No, I'm in the wrong peer. Let's go find the right peer because I haven't got the right charts and it's the biggest bull. I don't know how I did that, but I did it. Must have moved above, didn't it? Move above my peer. Right, so let's go to weekly and let's go to full chart. That is the weekly chart there. That's all time. And you can see from the beginning when Pulsechain launched, we've been in this yellow line here, this big mega downtrend for over 36 months. Pretty brutal. Portfolio value's gone down. Even the people that are DCAing down have found out a week later, a month later, it's down again and again and again. So it is what it is. But we have got a battle going on at the moment, but we're on life support. I'm not kidding. We're on life support. Doesn't mean that we're going to go down, but we're on life support right now, oscillating around the 7,000 mark. So that what I mean by 7,000 is the US price, 7,000, but we're just knocking off the zeros because it's easier to say, right? The RSI is skimming along the bottom. This is new structure. We haven't seen structure like this on the Pulsechain. Any other time that we had a little bit of sideways movement, we had a lot of volatility, and we're also going down the RSI. We're just below the 50 both times. So both times here we were going down. So this time we're already just above the oversold period on the RSI, and we've been moving sideways for 10 weeks. That said, we are on life support right now because we are really challenging that 7,000 here in the current week. So let's zoom into the daily chart there, and you can see this candle back here 4 days ago was really pushing us under pressure, and we actually have a new all-time low, which is at 506798, and that was 3 days ago. So a little bit of work to do there. Obviously, on the daily, we've got to get back up over the 21 moving average. That is at 7,200. So That's easy to do, but we're not doing it yet. That's easy to do, but we're not doing it yet. So we need a nice little 4% gain to get back over there, just to get us a bit more healthier there. So that's kind of the play right now. But let's go back to the weekly. We know we've got a holder line here. 10 weeks in. Is it going to take 12 weeks? Is it going to take 16 weeks? Or is it going to be, how long will it take, trying to find a bottom, assuming we don't break down to actually move higher. Now, some of the pros for not breaking down, there's nothing that stops us from breaking down. I mean, let's be fair. It could be a hacked account, could be another whale that decides to sell. There's nothing that really stops it. But if we do hold this line, which the market's showing us that it is trying to do at the moment, then the upside potential is good. And so we'll keep looking out for that over the next couple of months. And of course, we've got all the big things in June, July that I just talked about around Bitcoin and the regulatory movement with clarity, right? So we've already got that moving into the June for that month now. So is June going to be the month where we get to follow the market back up and put that bottom in on Pulsechain once and for all? Well, I think important to do that is we have to rally to 1200 and then rally to 1700, and then we can have a bit of profit taking down to 1200 and then slowly move up from there. Finally, once and for all, breaking down this mega downtrend, the lower lows, the lower highs, and we start getting some higher lows and higher highs. That's the idea. And we'll finally, once and for all, break that mega downtrend. That doesn't mean that even if we break that, we could just slowly creep to the side before we move up, as opposed to having nice parabolic rises to the upside like we saw with Hex back in 2021. But that's kind of the thesis there. We so far so good, looking good, but we are on life support this week. That's pretty much it. That's a summary. All right, but at the moment you can pick up a ton of Pulse. You can. We'll see what happens. Now, quickly, the bear scenario. If we did break down from here, maybe it might best be a short wick as opposed to moving to a lower zone. Remember, liquidity is pretty thin on Pulsechain already, but that doesn't mean that it can't go down further. But all things equal, maybe the market's exhausted, the sacrifices are exhausted. We don't have really any big contracts that can be manipulated or exploited anymore, like Compound Maker or anything like that. And maybe the community is a bit wiser about all that. I say that, but it's never true, though, is it? But and so we'll see what happens there, and maybe no hacked accounts or anything like that. And of course, even in June, if we do get lifted with the rest of the market, we may still experience a little bit of rotation into the majors like Ethereum, Bitcoin. We'll see. But all things equal, maybe people sort of think, well, we've got more upside now on Pulsechain. The bottom is in, and we're starting to get some market structure to the upside. So just like we get the selling psychology on the way down for 3 years, we start on when we break this downtrend, we start to get a bit of hopium, a bit of actually there might be better returns in Pulsechain. And so maybe we have more diamond hands and a bit more capital come in. Obviously, we've got a lot of cool protocols launching at the moment, which is certainly helping making Pulsechain an interesting place and a good yield place. And we're going to be covering 4 of those today later on. So kind of cool. That is the summary there. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Let us know your comments as well, constructive ones, of course, in the chat if you so will. We got one comment in the chat here. We got OBX in the house there. We got the heart life support there. Yeah, we got that. That's a good one. That's a good one there. I like that. All right, so we've got the top 100. So let's have a look at the volume first. So we're coming in off Friday, right? US results. We're sitting at 2.2 million entering into the weekend. So it's pretty low, right? So we were doing, 3.5 million yesterday, much better day in the office. Obviously, we got picked up a little bit with the sentiment with SwitchX as well, but 2.2 million. This doesn't include the balance of forks. We've got at least 2 of those out there doing a bit of volume, but this includes Pulsex. So out of 2.2 million, Pulsex is doing 1.8. So we've got 400 difference. 9mm is doing 230. So we've got about a 170 or so difference there. And then SwitchX, which is our latest and greatest, is doing about 100K. So there we go. And we've probably got a little bit of stuff spread amongst maybe Uniswap and others. Yeah, 26K, etc. So still got a little bit of stuff there. 9-inch still got a little bit going. 16K there as well. So, but SwitchX is our new V4, 9mm V3, Pulsex V2 technology. and SwitchX has been very exciting, and of course it's something I've been talking about for months, and it's great to see great to see Brandon launch that. So very exciting stuff going on there. All right, so where's most of the volume coming from SwitchX? We'll get to that later on. But let's go to the top 100 trending and see what's performing today. Well, Pepe, the main coin on Pulsechain, 11.5% up today. Let's have a quick look at that chart, actually, and see what that's looking like over the weekly. These are weekly candles. So we're still down at the bottom at 40995, but remember, that's following Pulse down. So let's have a look at the Pulse ratio. That's the key one. That's actually still on the bottom as well. So 14.33 for Pepe, but looks like it was probably making a bit of a pump over the last 24 hours or so. That is that. Let's jump over to Firewell. Obviously, this is the one where Firewell, he launched 3 pump tires when he was launching his products online, the gaming site and the Telegram bot. Firewell was the one he owned least of. The other ones he had like 82%, which is the max on pump tires. He got 55% of Firewell. So it actually is held by more the public retail book, and I guess it can do a bit more resilience there, and it's also tied into Most token, another top meme coin, right? So that's up 9.4% today. Let's have a quick look at that ratio versus Most. You can sort of see it's still down at the bottom here. Let's look at the ratio to Most though, and that's actually up. So actually up on the daily. Let's look at the weekly. It's up over the last couple of weeks there against Most, the meme coin on Pulsechain. Liquid loans is in the mix, up 7.8%. Someone made the comment there, liquid loans, and I think that's kind of funny. Now, liquid loans, of course, is the number one liquidity fork on Pulsechain in terms of collateral. It is based on Pulse, so it uses Pulse for that. Takes Pulse off the market. I can't remember the numbers, a couple of trillion maybe $1 trillion or something. I can't remember the number that's collateralized behind it, but 28K liquidity, so pretty damn small. Remember, this was a $52 million sacrifice, the third biggest sacrifice on Pulsechain, but this is pretty pathetic. Now, obviously, with very tiny liquidity, you can move prices, but big players don't want to move in capital when it's like that. So we'll see. Most wanted, which is why Firewell is up. Most wanted, one of the top meme coins on Pulsechain, is up 7.88%. Let's have a quick look at liquid loans, and you can see that chart. US is down. Obviously, we have to compare it to the Pulse price to see what's happening there, but that is also pretty low. Not the bottom range, but not far from it at 0.022 Pulse per liquid loan token there. Let's have a quick look at the website, shall we? Let's see if we can get some data. Some data there. It's also on base chain, by the way. That's interesting. We got some analytics. Let's see if this analytics is working. Remember, last time I tried this, it wasn't working. I mean, the site's brilliant, right? They delivered their product nicely, but the liquidity is pretty pathetic. Where's all that money? Where's all those tens of millions of US dollars sitting around? Where's all that stuff? So that is where we are. I don't know. They've got another stats coming up. I guess you have to connect your wallet. I thought the stats worked without actually connecting. That's the thing they had. Well, they've made a few changes, haven't they, to the website? Made a few changes. That still looks different there. We got Hexray Vision House. Hey kids, good to see Hexray Vision. Hope you're doing well. All right, so let's jump over to liquid loans. That's where it is right now. Market cap 219K. We will try and get some stats there. Finvestor, the grandparent of OG WebChef, that is $1.06 right now, up 7.2%. World's greatest PDI printer. This has been performing not too bad lately, has it? We looked at this. So world's greatest PDI printer from OG WebChef as well. So they're both OG WebChef. You can see number 7 is also Finvestor versus Finvestor there. That's 7%. And actually, this has been turning over nice little payouts. I think their payouts are like equivalent to 7% a week, which is up with the top farmers, right? Which we're going to talk about. So PDI printer doing pretty well. You're earning PDI by holding the world's greatest PDI printer. And so it's a printer token. And you can see the volumes on the weekly candles. We're at 124,000 on this main pair. And remember, it's tied in the Peacock, how it support the the PDI liquidity. That's why, one of the reasons why PDI is so big. Look, we got at 65 cents. So the price is pretty interesting. I was wondering whether it's going to have a rally to $2 again. That'd be pretty cool. That'd be a nice maker, wouldn't it? So yeah, that's certainly the volume's ticking over. The volume was down low at the end of March. It was 20K or so, but now that it's back up at 120,000 a week, boy, that's 6 times the amount of revenue you could be making off it, which is probably why it is so big. So let's go have a look at the website here on the OG Web Chef there. Now, this high spec, high risk, high return, passive income with the old printers. So just take note of that. You have to do your own due diligence, not financial advice. Oh, you look at that. We're sitting at 9.8% for the 1 week ROI. You have to read the fine print though. But certainly the last 24 hours at 1.5% of your capital back in income with the, not surprised here, pretty cool. So $10,700 paid out. So that's kind of interesting, right? That's definitely got to be one of the top performers in that space right now. But once again, taking into price movements and stuff. What else? We got Mafia sitting at number 8 from Rack and Rochelle at $2.38. It's up 4.6%. Obviously, we haven't got those new couple thousand validators in there yet because we went down. What about 7, just under 800 validators today. State Deep has been a ongoing performer. It's up 4% right now. Number 9, and then number 10 is Pulsex there, tied into. So that's it, pretty much it. Oh, not much liquidity there, so I guess we'll ignore that Pulsex one, and I guess number 10, which is at number 11, really is number 10, Smorg, and that is up 3% right now. So that's it. Let's have a quick look at Smorg. We haven't really looked at it much, but that chart there is looking still pretty good, right? So 0.0044 pulse ratio. I haven't really looked at the website, but that is the chart there, 63. I don't know the security around it. Blacklist, whitelist here. So that's probably problematic. So, very, very cautious about this one. But that is ticking away there. 3.5%, 6.5% tax, 3.5% buy and burn, 1.5% reflections there. So, yeah, probably quite centralized ownership. So, do note there, do your due diligence, usual stuff. So moving past the top 10, we've got not many that are up that high. So 1.85 for Rich Hart's incentive token. Saucer Minimeal, the big food giant of Europe, 1.7% there. BFF, another OG Web Chef, 1.6%. I think that is. I think it's OG Web Chef. Yeah, I don't think that's James Maria. James Maria. Question mark there. Question mark. We got Atropa and Teddy Bear. James Maria up 1.5%. Doubt token, another top meme coin up 1.5% there, and that's pretty much it. A UFO. Then we got quite a few ones up at less than 1%. So I'm not going to go through all those, but essentially we've got 45 peers that are in the green, top 100, and Pulsechain was down just slightly, wasn't it? So we've probably got about 50% of the peers beating Pulsechain, equal to or beating Pulsechain today. And then everything else is down. So let's look at the ones that are down the most. Well, Switch is down, and not surprising, right? So Switch is offering really high yields, and I talked about this yesterday in depth. We're going to talk about it again today. But Switch there, they have a beautiful locking system, but there's also, you get 25 to 50%, depending on what pool you're in, back of the pools. And some people will be probably locking those and burning them for high V switch sort of revenue earning long term, but then there's all the short players, right? That'll just be selling that volume, that liquid volume, as a hedge or profit move. So get a bit of that. So anyway, 1.5 cents yesterday. It was about 1.8, 1.9 cents. So it's down from there about 20%. But that's pretty much it. So let's have a look at the US dollar pair and have a look at that. Yeah. So just in the last couple of hours, from looks like we just got a big sell, did we? Yeah, this one here. It's just in the last hour we got a big sell just while I'm doing the live stream. How about that? Before that, it was up at 1.6, 1.7 cents. So there we go. Someone harvested their farm or something like that and got sold down. So that's it. So when you're in inflation zone as well, where does the bottom of the price happen? Well, I kind of just I thought that maybe it's 6 months. Because you got 2.5 years of emissions. You got a halving every first year 1 and 2. And then you got 6 months left. So arguably the first year's got the most, and therefore maybe if you take somewhere between 6 months and 9 months, that was kind of the logic that maybe the bottom would be there. Now the bottom might happen in 3 months, it could happen, but it's going to be interesting to see that as you get all that extra stuff out. And people have got there's so many different decisions that people have to make in terms of when they get that yield. They can lock it, they can burn it. And then just become an owner of the platform, or they can sell the unlocked stuff as well. And that's what puts downward pressure on the price, and that's what we would reasonably expect early on. But the actual protocol is actually brilliant, a brilliant protocol. we're going to follow that in due course. So, but it will be interesting to see where that bottoms out in the first sort of, maybe it's 6 weeks, 8 weeks. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. Now, we've got PMint, which is another PDI protocol, just like we saw with the world's greatest PDI printer. That's down 16% right now. People put their PDI in, right, and they get the PMint. Well, we're at 8.2 cents on the old price there. And that's another PDI supporter, volume as well. Halgo, down 12.8%, Hex derivative. Wartime, I can't remember who launched this, but Wartime, I've forgotten who it was, but Wartime, that is down as well. Let's have a look at the daily chart. That is the chart there is at 3 zeros, 2,500. It's not too bad, is it? And let's look at the pulse ratio. That is the chart there on the daily. So it's had a bit of a sell-off yesterday, but back up a little bit. We've seen the war, so I'm not sure who did this one, but you can go check. It's a pretty random one. I've forgotten who it was. Pulse Bitcoin from Fat Sammy and the Council. Obviously been doing a nice little jump, but just down a little bit today. And the pulse ratio there on the daily sitting at just under 3,900. So still looking pretty good, right? Had a big bump, came back a bit, but still holding up relative to that. If it's only down about a third, and if it can hold that, that's pretty good. Obviously, if it comes down 2/3, normally it's going to capitulate again. But so far, so good on the old Pulse Bitcoin. That's pretty much it. RHPP, new meme coin recently in the last month, that's down 9%. Ethos, which is one of our hottest DeFis lately, that is down 7.5%. That's a PDI too, isn't it? That's a PDI reflection token, I think. PDI as well. So, we've covered 3 PDI projects today. You're wondering where a lot of that volume comes from PDI. These are supportive projects. Amiga DAO there, of course, earning Pruvex, right? Pruvex there. These are all Cabal King, right? Cabal King and Kairos and Nexian. So they've been hot on the DeFi. That is there at the moment as well. And that's, I think that's kind of where we're going to leave it. Pump Tires down 7%. True Farm down 5% at 38 cents. Emmett Farm at $1, down 5%. And then Peacock there sitting just below 1 penny at 9,800 right now. So that's down 2.25% there, waiting for all their launches. So that's kind of like that. Let's go to the volumes. So the volumes on Pulsechain have been pretty interesting. So the last 24 hours, their Pulse doing 1.5 mil. Obviously, we only got 2.2 million today, so pretty low. And I haven't matched up these figures, but they're probably not too far off. Anyway, we got this coin list data. Pulsechain list data. They might add up different pools, right? So different pool stuff that they're adding, so that could be the differentials, or will be the differentials, no doubt. PDI there, 320k, and we just covered that in those top 100. We got at least 3 projects supporting the volume, giving buy pressure and so forth. Supply sinks. So PDI doing 320 today. Number 2, it was number 4 yesterday. Wrapped ETH is at 261. Number 4 is 237. $1,000 is Hex. PulseX at 131k. So we've only got 5 pairs today. Remember yesterday we had 7. Typically we have about 6. So we've only got 5 pairs because volume's so low at 2.2 mil. We're only down here at 6 pairs, and they're all Richard Hart and Wrapped ETH and PDI. So PDI there, and of course PDI getting all those project supports. Some close ones though. Pruvex at 90k, Hexum Ethereum there at 68k, and of course Hyperlane USDC at 62. That's been a new kind of entrant. Surprise, supported with by Liberty Swap 2. Saucer Mini Meal 57k, Wrap Bitcoin at 45, a Peacock at 45. World's greatest PDI printer, which we covered earlier, earning those nice yields, is up 43k there. Obviously, that's a pretty defining. You want to have that turnover so that you're making a lot of mucho grandes there. Then we've got James Marie as number 13, Atropa, Incentive Token number 14, and then interesting, an odd one out, Opus, sitting at 32. So there we go. That is some interesting stuff there where a lot of the volume is driving. And take note that if you're looking at projects, you do want to know whether they're one of the leading volume drivers on average over time. So there we go. All right, let's jump over to, interesting enough, top gainers on here is Gas Money from OG WebChef, most wanted meme coin of investor. So OG WebChef 2 out of 3 there on the Pulse Coin List site. So Pulsechain stats, Pulse Coin List, 2 of our main data sites. Let's jump over to Liberty, Lady Liberty, and it's got the dancing Hexagon girl, and she's dancing well. So what's that, Crypto Girl? Crypto Girl, yeah, she's changed her name a few times. Crypto Girl. She's worked for a few people too. She was working for, oh yeah, that that was it, that company that was going to do, pretending that was going to do laser amplification for communications. Of course, it was a dream there, but it is it. But there she is there, Crypto Girl. Now, Liberty Swap says Liberty Perpetuals is coming. V3 is starting to pick up. Can it bring the fun back to Pulsechain this July? So the V3, we're going to talk about Liberty Pools later on, but Liberty Perpetuals are coming. So we're going to have a blue chip operator that's Liberty Swap providing perpetuals. So that's kind of cool. And Crypto Girl there dancing away. What else there? Binance, Coinbase, Robinhood, all centralized exchanges, cash apps, Pulsechain, direct assets. So this is fantastic. Obviously, Ramp now has been doing a great job with fiat on-ramps to Pulsechain, but now Liberty Swap is getting into the game to connect the final leg of the journey, and that is connecting us to centralized exchanges and cash fiat on-ramps, close to banks and things like that. So beautiful thing coming to Pulsechain. BTC XMR, Pulsechain Pulse, powered by Thorchain. And of course, the Thorchains they've been operating with too. This is the next upgrade for Liberty Swap, Liberty Shield plus Circle CCTP. So that's just the cross-chain technology and Chainlink cross-chain technology in and out of any blockchain privately. Woohoo! Liberty Dex is doing buyback and burn for Peacock. ZKX wallet is going mobile, and everyone's asking about that, so that's kind of cool. In-wallet swaps and in-wallet cross-chain fees will be used to buy back the Peacock there. So that's exciting. So obviously a lot of marketing and adoption are required there to pick up those volumes. Obviously we saw Internet Money hit over 118,000 downloads of their wallet. So you kind of got an example of a team that's done pretty damn well, in terms of adoption. So that's the other side of things, right? ZKX wallet is going mobile. We've covered that. Oh, and we have Liberty Perpetuals along with the prediction market. So Perpetuals and the prediction market coming from Liberty Swap as well, powered by the strongest combined liquidity across all DEX Perpetuals. So there we go. Very cool. We might as well repost that, right? That's a good one to repost. Let's see if they've got any comments. I think that's it. What they got there? This week, Proteus will complete the integration of Liberty Pools. We will support Proteus and Liberty Dex. So Liberty Dex obviously is going to route through the Liberty Pools as well, which Proteus also won most of the auction across our products and also add more liquidity to V3 to bootstrap earnings. Kind of cool. Time to thrive. Time to thrive, guys. That is, I think that's kind of it on those. So cool. That is Liberty Swap. Let's see what else they got to say for themselves. 8 hours ago, Binance, Coinbase, Robinhood. I think we covered all that, right? This is how it works. This is just a prototype. The code will be live soon, though, so they're going to take it from testing to production mode. But this is showing the idea, and that is from some of these providers. So that's pretty cool. There's a bit of a tease there. So Cash App, I guess, or any of these things onto Pulsechain. Very cool. Buy a stablecoin, no doubt. Oh, this one here, USDC buying Peacock. So that is fantastic, guys. So you'll be able to get some sort of fiat on-ramp through Liberty Swap. Woohoo! Awesome stuff. Everyone's already loving the cross-chain stuff. So that's kind of cool. Do you like this approach? Just send or receive. Yeah, indeed. All right, so that's looking pretty good. Let's scroll up here a little bit further. I'm going to scroll past all that. A little message of support to the community. My message for you: if you're feeling lost or disappointed because the market isn't moving fast enough, stay strong. Progress doesn't always show up on your timeline, but it still unfolding. Peacock's here with you, steady as ever through every phase. So that's kind of cool. All right, what else we got going there? If you haven't got one of their branded keystones with the Pulsechain stuff, it's still available. Get a 50% discount with the Peacock. Liberty, I think, is the code. Liberty. We need to moon, and we need it now, says Peacock. Talk about the chart there, I guess. So that is from Liberty Swap. Let's jump over to Brandon. So Brandon doing SwitchX. So we're just going through some of the blue chip teams and what they're doing on Pulsechain. LibertyX, of course, we're moving into SwitchX now. So we've got LibertyX and Liberty Swap, Liberty SwitchX. SwitchX migration tool is shipping soon. Tired of stale LP that isn't working for you. And of course, they've already done this, haven't they? They've already done this you can now, I think, migrate. I think that's coming up, or maybe they haven't quite done it yet. You've forgotten about your positions, auto detect, find your LP across all Pulsex dexes, including wallet LP and farm stake, all in one, so you'll be able to move them from others. It's pretty cheeky stuff, but pretty good too, isn't it? This then migrate into matching SwitchX pairs with flexible options. ALM deposit when available, manual position, custom range, full range, auto farm, which is fantastic, built with safety in mind, explicit pure rules, clear destination choices, and supported migration path only. So very cool, and very clever there. So that is from Bran. I think that was the last update. TVL hit 400K. That was the other one too, right? So that's pretty cool. We're going to get to SwitchX in a minute, but those are kind of the latest updates there from some of the blue chips on Pulsechain. Let's jump over to Emmet Farm. So if you are looking to earn high yields, obviously Emmet Farm from Kairos is doing a fantastic job. Well over a year now. It must be like 14 months or so. They've been offering high yields. At the moment, the token price for Emmet is at $1 exactly. We've got the emission rate at $750 a day, so that's $750 of emissions rewards a day. So very modest, which helps sustainable of the farm. The Emmet farm itself, the single side staking, you earn EDI, so you're not earning Emmet in here, so it's very cool as well. Another supportive tokenomics feature. That is currently at 86% right now. Daily, that would be 0.17% of your capital back as income a day, but weekly, that's 1.2% a week. Monthly, that'd be 5.3%, and yearly 86%. So that's the logic there. It's currently about $186,000 of TVL in there, but that's pretty juicy, isn't it? EDI, earning EDI every day. Then they have non-EDI farms, which is with Emmet and tied in with the Richard Hart cause and other bridged in stables. So you've got Emmet Pulse is 115%, Emmet DI at 117%, Emmet Provex at 116%, Emmet Inc. at 120%, and Emmet Pulsex there at 119. Now you do have to take into account impermanent loss movements between tokens, particularly when they're not non-stables, and so. But the yields are pretty damn high. You provide the liquidity inside Pulsex V2. You get LP tokens to represent those liquidity provisions. You take those LPs and then you stake them in these farms to earn these high APR farm rewards. That's the way the process works. They've also got Emmet PHEX there, 116%. Wrap Bitcoin from Ethereum and Emmet is 123%. And then Wrapped ETH there from Ethereum with Emmet is 140%. OMG. Take account of the TVL in there already, because when you do put your LP tokens, your TVL will pull down the APRs slightly. So it just depends on the size of the pool and all that sort of stuff. They also have Pulsex pairs, so these are not tied into Emmets. Non-Emmet pairs, so you've got Richard Hart pairs there. Now these will have a lot lower APR because they're not Emmet, so high APRs drive more value into Emmet over time. But we've got DI Pulse there, 20%. So if you got DI and Pulse, you're sitting there, you can do that. And then they've got similar pairs, Inc and Pulsex at 11.5%. So if you got those, you could just sit there earning a little bit of yield a day, 0.03%. So weekly, about 1/5% a week. On that as well. So there's got quite a few options. Then they've got many other farms like Pulse Bitcoin, Vouch, Zero Knowledge Printer, Pulsekin Store, RhinoFi. They've all got different yields. Some of them are very high, like Inc Dollar and Emmet, 147%. So there is lots of good pickings to be had. Pump Tires, a lot of popular tokens there. Community tokens, the Grays currency, one of the top communities. What else there? Vic, non-profit, Crypto Paradise, Big KOLs, the Surf Token, Impulse, Function Island, another competing farm, DeFi ecosystem, Actuator, Hocus Pocus, entities, DeFi rankings, no permissions there, SolidX, Access Alive, all that good stuff. Note token from Randy Olasky, Nexion, another competing farm / DeFi ecosystem, Vox, another farm / DeFi ecosystem, and a PI pool. So there's lots of stuff out there that you guys will be familiar with. And some of those pools may be, good earners there. So that is kind of the Emmet farm. So that is taken away, emmet.farm. So you can check that out. True Farms obviously is a fork of that, but it's run by the True DeFi team with technology supplied from Kairos, from Emmet Farms. And it's currently sitting at 38 cents on the token price for True Farm, with the emission rate at 1,036, so slightly higher, 750 for Emmet, 1,036 a day for True Farms. But these are the two high APR farms operating at the moment. And obviously there's a couple of alternatives out there like SwitchX, which we're talking about, but these are the classic farms. Their APR in the single-sided staking pool, where you earn EDI, is currently 135%. So that's 1/5% a day or 1.6% a week, 7% a month at the moment. They got the TVL locked in there of $333K, $1,000. So that's taken away pretty nice. Once again, that is single-sided staking. Then they have True Farm matched in with some of the key other peers like Pulse, 83%, True Farm DAI, 81%, True Farm Pulsex, 109%, True Farm Inc. at 120%, and True Farm ProveX, 130%. And finally, Wrapped ETH there, 214%. True Farm Wrapped ETH. That's pretty damn juicy, isn't it? What's that? A third of a percent a day, just about 2.2% a week. That's still pretty damn good with the old ETH there. They've got they don't have as many farms because they haven't been around as long, a couple of months, but no doubt they're looking at expanding the farms and also their DeFi offerings. They are building a DeFi ecosystem. They've got single-sided. They got the 2x Pulse miner out there, and they got the SRE investment fund going around investing. And they've probably got quite a bit of the positions in single-sided staking here on True Farm and on Emmett Farm sitting in this TVL. So doing pretty well with their portfolio management. Pulsex there, they got obviously the non True Farm peers and pretty nice peers there. ProveX DAI, 29%. They got community tokens there: Rhinify, Gelato, Tetra, Hero, lots of those in there as well. So that's an emerging farm, but some pretty nice yields there. It's True Farms with an S, truefarms.io on that one. So some high yields on there too. Moving over to SwitchX, which is obviously the V4 DEX and farms that have been offered by Brandon. Some very big innovations in this. It's got a ton of innovations, but essentially the main takeaway is that it's providing automatic liquidity farming. So it's adjusting, it's doing concentrated liquidity. So it's trying to get you the highest yield, and it's dynamic. And within a few hours, it's trying to keep you placed in the money zone, and it redoes those positions through atomic transactions. So it's pretty awesome. TV at the moment is $370,000. Volume at the moment 94,000. So it just eased off a bit from yesterday. Obviously, we got quite a bit yesterday. We're doing 3.5 million. We're down to 2.2 million, and any cross effects that were between SwitchX and the wider market. But at the moment, Switch USDC, the two main pools with Switch is the main token for the platform. You got inside the APR zone, the concentrated liquidity zone, you got 90,000% APR and 47,000% on Pulse. If your LP is sitting in that zone at the time or gets moved to that zone, that price zone, to max out those yields. But otherwise, the base fee is about 2.9%, 0.85%. But the farm yields are pretty spectacular, and that's probably why we've seen the Switch price move down just in the last hour, as someone that was farming a lot probably sold a bit there. Now they can only sold a certain amount, right? So in these two main pools, 50% lock. So Switch, you auto lock 50% of your rewards. The other 50% you can sell down. So if you're a big player, and we may see that time for time on the Switch, and you're not reinvesting into the voting and the rewards long term, so becoming a long-term owner, you're just selling down your short-term gain either for profits or hedging. You're going to see what we saw in the chart there for Switch. It's kind of the logic that I'm using there. Now, some of the other top pools, we've got USDC Pulse, Pulsex, all these popular ones here. You can see that at some stage, like Hex Pulse, the APR in the concentrated zone can be over 100,000% on the farm yield, which is pretty crazy. And that can happen for a certain period of time. They do move around from time to time, these percentages. So it could be 100,000 one moment and 4,000% the next. And if you're got liquidity in that zone at that particular time, then that's great. And of course, otherwise you have to wait, I guess, for the atomic repositioning, which can happen within, I think, about 2 hours or so. So I think that's the way essentially it works there. So pretty cool. So that is the earn lock there. Pretty clever stuff, guys, honestly. And this is the sort of stuff that's hitting Pulsechain now. This is the best kind of fork version. They've modified this compared to all the others that are on other chains. And so I think it's pretty impressive. So big shout out to Brandon for bringing this over to Pulsechain. We're really getting that top quality stuff from Liberty Swap, from SwitchX. Best of breed in the world. So it's exciting to have that on Pulsechain. So, all right, so that's kind of cool. Obviously, you can do locking and burning. Burning gives you 2x power in the old long-term view. Remember, we have got a long inflation phase. It's 2.5 years. The first halving's in a year. So the first year is going to be where most of the stuff comes out, relatively speaking. How much of that gets burned? How much gets locked? These are all questions. The protocol itself has fees, and those go and buy switch off the market as well. So the more fees it's doing, obviously fees are going to have to tick up over time, but that's also sitting in the background. So there's lots of these variables that have got supply sinks and burning and lots of stuff. But if you've got big players there earning some pretty nice yields, then they'll no doubt take some hedging profits there, if not profits, take into account as well. Obviously rewards and analytics. So let's have a look at analytics there. At the moment, there are 489 active VLOCs, and people can lock up to 2 years, right, without burning. Lock switch is 5.9 million, almost 6 million now, almost 6 million. And what else are we going to say about generated revenue? $90. So it's still got to build up the revenue flows. Trading revenues 112K. Total protocol revenue 22600. Total trading fees 2500 so far, with total volume so far. These are aggregated volumes over the days that it's been live, 1.5 million. So it's covered the 1.5 million mark now. So it's getting up there. It's only early days, right? Early days. I wish they actually had I don't know if they've got a day counter here, but it'd be nice if they had what day counter it was on there. Maybe switch burn forever, 20 million. So pretty huge. Obviously, that includes 15 million for the initial burn. They initially launched 30 million, burnt 15, and essentially are sitting in the earning rewards from it. And you see that get a lot voted in before the end of the epoch, right? So there's a weekly epoch before rewards are paid out. We've got 4 days and 21 hours to go until this epoch is finishing, which will be the second epoch, right? Pretty sure the second epoch, or the third epoch, a second or third epoch, one or two. I can't remember how long now. It feels like it's only been around for 10 days, but maybe it's more than 14 days. I don't know. But that's ticking away. Switch buybacks 50,000. So this is what I was talking about, buying off the market with rewards, voting rewards 50% buyback. So there we go. Anyway, we've got the charts TVL. So let's have a look at the month here. So that's the month there. We start off around about 180K. We're up at 370, and we've had a high of 412K in TVL. So this is what we want to see continue going up, heading towards that. First of all, I guess that $1 million mark would be the first target. Fees, or volumes, I should say. Volumes, let's go to the last month. And, we had the first day, which was a big day, 158, but we'll ignore that and just start from the second day. So what do we got there? The 14th of May. So we're at the end of the month. So it's basically 2 weeks, isn't it? 2 weeks, or not quite 2 weeks. So yeah, we must be on that slightly third cycle, maybe. I don't know. But 15th there, we've gone from about 30,000 in volume, and we've had a bit of lumpy stuff. But essentially on the 27th, so that's at 2 days ago, we got to 196K, almost $200,000 in volume. It's just dropped off a little bit there, down to 87. So we'll watch that from now. We'll start off at 10. I don't know what these averages are here, but we'll keep a lookout for that. But this platform is pretty impressive, and the automated liquidity management is just next level. Really is. So far, it looks really cool. Now, I don't know whether it's had any stoppers. We haven't had any extreme events, so there's been no stoppers just in the formula. And so it looks like it's just operating really well, really well. We got Angel in the house. Hello. Good to see Angel. Switch is great. I have been learning about their hooks idea. One is still not out yet. Very good thing for Pulsechain. Exciting, yeah, indeed. Yeah, he's got 1-2 more rollouts at least. I don't know how many rollouts of new tech that he's incorporating here, but certainly we are waiting for the pool transfers. So Pulsechain VE33, probably best in breed, best tokenomics. It is early days though, and we are still in that inflationary period. You guys know how it rolls, but the earnings at the moment just pretty spectacular. We'll keep a lookout for that. All right, hope you guys have enjoyed it. Very cool. There's lots of peers. I didn't go through all the peers, by the way. It's 37 page, 37. So we go to 4 pages. There's a lot of manual peers. There's no LPs in those. So you have to jump back. We've got some manual pools that people set up, and then I've got a little bit of stuff in them. But we get to page 2. 9,000 is kind of the bottom there, and we've got some ALMs on there. So it's got all and the farm, yellow farm ticker. So we've got 2 pages of, from the looks of it, is it 2 pages? No, 1 page. 1 page? Yeah. 1 page and a bit. 1 page and a bit of pools earning farm yields. All right, so that's pretty much it. So that leads us on to a Liberty swap. Liberty swap there. So let's talk about that. So Liberty pool, link of the pool. So Liberty swap here. We're currently working on integrating these pools into multiple DEXs the 27th. So that was pretty cool. They launched this, of course. This is the first part of their of the yield protocol. I don't know exactly what that means. I just that's what they've indicated. So we're probably going to get a bit more around this whole thing. But essentially, they have done a soft launch here. We are excited to announce the launch of Liberty Pool. The core architecture of Liberty Pool is built on PancakeSwap Uniswap v3, concentrated liquidity infrastructure designed to provide Pulsechain users with a reliable and secure protocol for deploying idle capital and earning yield from trading fees of many DEXs on Pulsechain. By utilizing concentrated liquidity mechanics, liquidity providers can achieve improved capital efficiency while supporting deeper and sustained liquidity across the Pulsechain ecosystem. We are currently working with ecosystem partners to integrate Liberty's pool liquidity into their DEX aggregators. Obviously, Pulsechain is the front runner there, helping expand routing support, trading volume, and accessibility for Pulsechain assets. Now, Liberty, Pulsechain has typically been the number 1 market share holder of DEX aggregator on Pulsechain, although I must say, if you haven't used Switch DEX aggregator from Brandon, which is tied into this Liberty X as well now, it is fantastic. It really is. Switch has been a very, very good there. So definitely an alternative that must be growing market share quite nicely over there. Also has limit orders, well over 1,000 limit orders being placed in there. So it's looking pretty good. There are Liberty pool contracts. It may take some time for ecosystem partners to integrate the pools and for strong trading volume to build. Obviously, the DEX aggregators there. We will continue adding more liquidity over time. Now, if you provide LPs, 80% goes to liquidity providers. You get this as a liquidity provider, you get to set the pair if you're setting up the pool. And 10% of trading fees will go to buyback and Peacock. 10% trading fees and go into their treasury essentially, and 10% trading fees will buy and burn Peacock. So there we go. And that was a couple of the sneak peeks there. So this obviously a very, very sleek looking setup. So what we've got there is we've got the pools here. So I just looked at this. Obviously, it's been a bit of a soft launch, but they've only got one major TVL at the moment, $10,000 for the Peacock. And interesting enough, it's got PDI printer in there, which I thought was kind of interesting. So that's been set up. Volume $1,200 so far. And obviously, as DEX aggregators pick this up, this will be a routing pool. This will be open to routing pools, and no doubt Batias and I wouldn't be surprised Switch starts to pick this up as well with the rest of the DEXs out there. There's a V3, all right? So someone's put in a bit of rail, a Pulse rail, bit of a ProveX Peacock, bit of PulseX Pulse. So it's very early days on here, but there's lots of little other pools that people have set up. Look at them all. Set up little pools in here. So that is pretty cool. So we'll keep watching that. Now, creating a pool is you just kind of click on the create button if you're going to create your own pool. And then you can just V3 advanced tools, and then it will just step you through. So you can pick the pairs that you want, the fee that you want, right up to 1% V3, and you can set the starting price, etc. So there's lots of stuff setting that up. Kind of cool. So if you're a team out there, could be something for you. And then where are we up to? I'm trying to go back to the main page. Add liquidity. So if there's an existing pool, you can add liquidity, right? So you can add liquidity and just follow that through, I guess. So I don't know. There we go. So you can add liquidity there on V3 setup, right? Kind of cool. All right. So you can do typically, I think you can do one supply on one side or the other, all that sort of stuff on V3 pools. You don't need 50-50 like with V2. What else are we going to say? So that is kind of cool. If you have a position open, you'll have my positions, and you disconnect your wallet, and away you go. So that's kind of it at the moment. So we'll keep looking out. This is apparently the first stage of the yield protocol. So we'll keep out look for the rest of the updates from that. But that is a bit of a summary, and that is available right now. So boom, boom, there we go. Let me close this down. So I will post the link to this actually in the chat there if you guys want. Oh, what the hell? I don't want to do that. All right, so copy link, and I'll post that in there if you guys want to follow up on that Liberty swap Liberty Pools, part of the Liberty Yield protocol coming, evolving, I guess, is the way I would put it. Look forward to any other additions. I'll probably do an update on that. All right, so that is the link there. So now in 20 minutes, we've done pretty good. Hope you guys have enjoyed the show. We do the deep dive. We cover Pulsechain and we do the deep dive. So I hope you guys are enjoying it. And you've surely, after you watch the show, you would have a pretty good understanding what's going on in Pulsechain, which is kind of cool. All right, don't forget to subscribe on YouTube, smash the follow on X, and you guys know what to do. Don't forget to hit the repost button at the bottom there as well. And I think there's a follow button up here somewhere in the top here that you can smash the follow as well. Hope you enjoyed it. I will catch you guys again tomorrow for another daily show covering Pulsechain, Bitcoin, and Ethereum because, I think we're only 1 month away from a real takeoff time with all these digital asset treasuries and potentially Clarity Act. So pack your bags, get ready to go. Will Pulsechain find the bottom during that period of time? You've got to be optimistic and then up and to the right? Up and to the right. I think that's pretty exciting. Let's give it a clap. Got the angel with the clap as well. All right, take care, everybody. Hope you enjoyed it, and bye for now.